We got some wild lineup updates heading into Game 3 for the Montreal Canadiens as there are multiple reports about Patrik Laine, Arber Xhekaj, and even another interesting forward that could very likely draw into the Habs lineup per some reports. We have to dive into all of that, the decisions Martin St. Louis has made at practice and the statements he made prior to this game, and also another big note on a certain player for the Washington Capitals whose status looks, well, more and more negative for Habs fans, positive for Capitals fans. We're jumping into all that on this episode of Habs Digest. Midday, you don't get this very often. Let's dive into this, Jesse. The first thing we got to talk about, Patrik Laine was the only player absent at the Canadiens' morning skate today, and they announced that Laine missed it for maintenance. Officially, it's a game time decision at this point for him. There was a lot of speculation earlier today, Jesse, and even Marco D'Amico saying, look, there's an expectation Xhekaj and Kaiden could draw it, as JIC Lajoie reported, but it's not official. I don't know. What do you make of this? I mean, it looked like Laine bumped his knee last game, was in a bit of pain. We both noticed it. I thought there'd be no world where Laine was pulled. If he is actually nursing something, it makes sense that he might be. What do you make of all this noise that was going around today?
Right now, first things first, we're bringing the hype for the Montreal Canadiens tonight. We believe this team. Send that positive energy in the chat because we really need to rally together here as a group. We believe in these boys. Obviously, Marty's keeping his cards close to the chest, but we would be wrong if we were saying that Laine isn't having somewhat of a fall from grace right now. Some of those issues we saw during the regular season are just kind of getting a little bit amplified during the playoffs with the margin of error, that competition just kind of rising up a level. So right now, I do believe that we will see Laine in the lineup tonight. I wouldn't go so far as put Kaiden in there, but I mean, all bets are off. Just the fact that like so many people are open, and full disclosure, even myself, I'm open to having a Kaiden in the lineup over a Laine. I know I hate to say that, right? But we just know that margin of error right now is really just so slim. We need to bring that offense, but that defense as well. That being said, I'm a big believer in Laine. I believe we'll see him in the lineup tonight. And if he is there, he's going to know that once he's getting those shots, a good pass that's in his wheelhouse where he's between the face-off circle dots, he's going to start letting it rip. And I still believe, and I've said that before this series, that I believe Laine can be the difference maker, not only on the power play, but in the series as a whole, just because we've seen what he's done all year long on the power play, still missing so much time, but racking it up. This guy still has a shot. He just needs to get hot, get that confidence going. And I'm a believer of how that can really help this team even further along in this playoffs as well. Very interesting to note, but as we know, Marty's really keeping the cards close to his chest here.
He is, and like, look, we were saying like 1 or 2 goals from Laine could be the difference between us praising him every day and crapping on him every day. And look, I think our fans are good. And look, we can be in agreement, Jesse, that right now Laine is not contributing positively to the lineup, and it may be worth putting someone else in. Completely understand that. What I don't understand is the people, going at Laine as a person, as a player in general, because he's gone through so much. He decided to play work this year. Yeah, I know his on-ice stuff hasn't been great lately. That's fine to criticize, as we're, kind of doing a little bit here. But yeah, regardless, the fact that we're even entertaining a guy like Kaiden, and for the record, Florian Xhekaj was not at practice today, but they were keeping an eye on it. Again, like we said, it'd be shocking to call someone up from Laval at this point when we still have guys on the team. But you're very right. Coach Marty is keeping the cards very close to his chest. He doesn't want to reveal what he's going to do because Marty St. Louis said, as reported by Arber Basu here, that you'll see more players than usual in warm-ups tonight. On top of Laine, he says there's a few players battling some things. Game time decisions for our lineup. Now, we know Brendan Gallagher took a maintenance day before game 2. Don't know if he's battling something. Probably he said he spent the half of yesterday in a dentist chair, probably to fix stuff from another cross-check to the face that was uncalled. Caufield was bleeding. Don't know what's going on there. Laine looked like he hurt his knee. Don't know what's going on otherwise. I mean, Savard, got to imagine he's banged up. We know Armia's wrist, Jesse. I mean, the crazy thing is, like, even though we have reports of Kaiden, of Xhekaj, I'll talk about Xhekaj in a second, but, like, there might even be other names that we're surprised to not see skating. Like, would it even shock you to hear that maybe it's actually Armia that doesn't play tonight due to some wrist problems or arm problems, and then Kaiden draws in for him? What I'm saying is, like, this is even more unpredictable than we thought. Like, it might not just be Laine. It's the playoffs. People are banged up, but at least, I know that Montreal has that extra forward and extra defenseman that we can rely on in this kind of situation.
Army is going to be in. It's the playoffs here, but we need to definitely get to our boy here. The meat and potatoes on this team. Arber Xhekaj, I believe he is going to be drawing into the lineup tonight for Jayden Struble here. Again, kind of Washington and Montreal having a similar strategy where it's like you don't see protests he's not on like their projected lineup, but probably going to be in the warm-up, and it's probably going to draw in. I can see something very similar for Xhekaj tonight, coming in for Struble, getting on that left side with Savard there. I really believe in this player of what he can bring to this team. I don't want to just see him in the playoffs. I wanted to see him a couple games leading up against the Ottawa Senators, things like that. A lot of the things that you saw in that game were allowing the other team to get the physical edge, and how that kind of translates to the goal sheet. We're seeing that now in the playoffs. And just how I think Xhekaj could have handled that problem, handled them since kind of leading up to the playoffs here, I think that he would have the same effect here in the playoffs. There's a reason why Montreal Canadiens fans like this player. This is the smartest fan base in all of sports, in my opinion. If there's so many Montreal Canadiens fans that like Arber Xhekaj, this is saying something. There's a reason of why they like this player. If they're that intelligent, there's something about his game that I do believe he brings. And while, there's been a couple people that have kind of brought up some red flags in this game, it's like, overall, I think what he brings to the game really more than makes up for it. So going to be very interesting to see kind of going in tonight. Just the fact that having a couple extra bodies kind of skating there does lead me to think that there's going to be at least one change. That's going to be our boy, Arber Xhekaj.
Absolutely. And I agree with you there. I mean, look, again, we're talking about Xhekaj, our captain, but focusing on Xhekaj is a big thing. Now, I will say, Xhekaj and Pezzetta were the final two players off the ice at practice. They stayed a little extra, which usually indicates they wouldn't be playing. However, again, like you said, Bart, he said that we're going to have extra people skating. And Jesse, like the big thing with Arber, we know he can bring some of that offensive upside. He's had some down moments this year. But in the playoffs, you shorten your bench a little bit, as in you bench guys at times, like Marty did in the third period of last game. And in last game, again, we keep saying Savard and Struble each only played about 10 minutes. And when you're Arber Xhekaj, a guy that plays like him, even if he only gets 6 or 7 minutes of ice time, the rest of the Habs D-corps should be able to handle the rest of the load on their own, whether it's Lane Hutson playing 25, Guhle playing closer to 25, which he hasn't quite been up to that level. Again, still recovering from that lacerated quad, but it's been Hutson and Matheson both around that 25, 26 minute range. Maybe you boost Guhle's minutes up by 2 or 3 to help with Xhekaj coming in. But as long as he can be impactful in those few minutes he gets, even if it's just a few, they might want to play him a little bit more, Jesse. And again, looking at the forward line, who knows? The Habs could go 11-7. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll go 12 forwards. They'll go Xhekaj. But again, my big thing with Xhekaj, and I want to hear just from you really quick before we end this off, to me, whatever minutes he gets, I know he's going to make the most of them. But as long as he can be physical and be disciplined for the time he's on the ice, I think that a lot of people's, I don't know, I think he might change some people's minds, including maybe myself, who think maybe he shouldn't try him, but now I'm more on the side that he should. As long as he's disciplined and he proves to be physical in the minutes he gets, I'm going to be thrilled with him.
Enforcing, protecting the front of the net, being that regulator, just pre-handle a lot of those issues that if you have that Xhekaj is going to come in. For me, that's absolutely huge in the playoffs. I think that, kind of going forward, if he can make a solid impression, this is somebody that we need to see going forward. Like, he has an opportunity now to show how valuable he is. We're now Martin St. Louis going into any playoff game, whether it's later on this year, next year, it's like, okay, we need Arber Xhekaj. This is like the best third pairing kind of defenseman that you can have in the playoffs. So really excited to see how he's going to rise to the situation. If he does get that call, I don't know. My gut is telling me there's some positive indicators there. But of course, too, speaking of impact, I think we need to get back that line of Demidov, Evans, Newhook. Their underlying numbers were great, finishing the game, kind of providing a little bit of that secondary support. We know that first line's going to show out. And for me, finding another line that can really provide, if we can get another line to contribute, that's what's going to take us over the top in these very close games. I believe, along with Xhekaj, that Demi, Evans, and Newhook could be that difference maker. Because again, that first line's going to do it. We just get a little bit of support. We find that chemistry a little bit further down the lineup. We are going to be golden from there.
I'm excited for that. You're right, man. That line in the minutes that they had together last game was, I think, the Habs' best, or at least second best line. Demidov, Evans, Newhook, and hey, who knows? That could very well be the line tonight, even if Patrick Laine draws in. But we want to hear from you guys. What are you feeling? How do you feel heading into tonight's game? Leave some love for the Habs. This is a massive game at home. The Habs are 12-0-2 at home in their last 14. The best record in the NHL. Cannot wait to see how that translates tonight. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. Enjoy the game. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. We'll be here after as well. Thank you so much for being here every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.